Hi, good morning, good afternoon and good evening all. Welcome to the last module in our syllabus. This module consists of two functions of management, that is leading and controlling. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about the leadership function of management. Leadership is an integral part of management and plays a vital role in the managerial operation. You know that leadership exists in every type of organization, and if there is any single factor that differentiates between successful and unsuccessful organization, it could be presence and absence of leadership. Simply stated, leadership is the process of influencing the behavior of others to the accomplishment of goals in a given situation. Let's see a definition given by George R. Terry to leadership. Leadership is the activity of influencing people to strive willingly for group objectives. In this definition, you can understand that actually leadership is an art of influencing others to do or to perform something for the attainment of objectives or attainment of group objectives, and the leader needs to ensure that the followers are working willingly and enthusiastically. Let's see another definition given by Coons and O'Donnell. They defined leadership as influence, that is the process of influencing people so that they will strive willingly and enthusiastically to the achievement of group goal. From these two definitions, you can understand that a leader needs to ensure the willingness of the people who is performing the duties or performing the functions for the group. Then coming to the importance of leadership. You know that history of every nation is full of examples of the importance of leadership. India owes its independence to the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and other leaders. The success of a business enterprise is also dependent upon the quality of its leadership. A weak leader can destroy the efficiency of an organization. On the other hand, strong leadership can transform a lackluster group into strong and aggressively successful organization. Let's see the importance of leadership in a group and for an organization. First one is setting up of goals. The first function or the first duty of a leader is to determine the goals and policies for the organization or a group of people. Then second importance, guiding people. This is one of the important functions need to be performed by a leader in an organization. He needs to guide the people towards the attainment of goals. He needs to ensure they are doing their work in an effective manner by guiding or giving advices or giving counseling to the people who is working for the organization. Then developing teamwork. An organization needs to ensure teamwork between the people who is working for the organization for efficient accomplishment of the objectives. It is the duty of a leader to ensure or to develop a teamwork between the people working for the organization. Then maintaining discipline. A leader needs to ensure discipline in the behavior of the subordinates or in the behavior of the followers who is working for the organization. Then building morale. In order to develop high morale among people, the leader governs his own actions. He creates confidence in his followers. He strives to build unflinching loyalty and devotion to the group. Good relationship is a strong motivating force in an organization. Then representing the group. A leader is the true representative of his followers, both to those working for the group as well as the outside world. He serves as their spokesman and guardian. He carries the voice of his people to various authorities. To sum up, leadership is a force which holds the group intact, the disciplinary power that keeps the group working, the electric current that energizes human action, the insight that converts despair into hope. In fact, there is no substitute for effective leadership. A visionary leader has a clear sense of the future and knows how to get there. Then coming to the qualities of a leader. These are some of the qualities that is needed in a leader. Honesty, confidence, patience, determination, dedication, consistency, communication skill, integrity, selflessness, that means unselfishness, initiative, knowledge, character. Every leader needs to possess these kind of qualities to become a successful leader or a leader who is accepted by his followers. He needs to show honesty in dealings with the people, confidence in taking decisions, patience in dealing with the critical situations, determination in performing the functions of the organization or the achievement of the objectives of the organization, dedication to the work, the consistency in the way in which he is taking decision, the communication skills, the integrity, unselfishness of performing the duties, initiative, that is the ability to give new ideas or to take new projects for the organization, the knowledge, the character, etc. Then coming to different styles of leadership. The behavior pattern exhibited by a leader while influencing followers is known as leadership style. On the basis of how leaders use their power, leadership styles can be classified into three, that is autocratic leader, democratic leader and laissez-faire leadership. Some of the leadership philosophies or management philosophies included paternalistic leadership to the styles of leadership. A paternalistic leadership style means it's a form of leadership style in which the leader will show a parental approach to the followers in the organization. He will guide and supervise the work of a follower by considering the follower as a child or his son or a daughter. Then coming to the first leadership style, that is autocratic or authoritarian leadership style. An autocratic leader exercises complete control over the subordinate. He centralizes power in himself and takes all decisions without consulting the subordinate. He uses rewards and holds threat of penalties to direct subordinate. From this we can understand that an autocratic leadership style is a form of leadership in which there is no chances for the or no scope for the followers in the organization or in the group. They need to follow the directions given by the leader, or there is no chances for them to give suggestions or opinions for the working of the organization. Then coming to the advantages of this style of leadership. First one is quick decision making. You know that in case of autocratic leadership style, each and every decisions are taken by the leader. So they can ensure the speed of decision making. Then strong motivation and satisfaction to the leader. When there is full power or authority for a person to take decision and give orders to the subordinate, it will definitely improve his motivation level and improves his satisfaction level. Then it will give better results in case of emergency. In case of emergency situation, autocratic leadership will be more suitable, because suppose we are following any other type of leadership style, we need to consult with the others. But emergency situation needs sudden actions. So authoritarian or autocratic leadership will be more suitable for emergency situations. Then coming to the limitations of autocratic leadership, it leads to frustration, low morale or conflicts among the followers, and there is no space for initiatives from the subordinates. Nothing will be accepted by the leader. Then potential of subordinates will not be considered. There is no chance for considering the feeling of the subordinates or the abilities of the subordinates or the ideas of the subordinates in this style of leadership. No opportunity for development of subordinates. In this style of leadership, there is no scope for developing the abilities or the skills of the subordinates, because they need to perform only the duties assigned to him by his superior. Autocratic leadership style may be appropriate when subordinates are uneducated, unskilled. Lack of knowledge and experience on the part of subordinates makes it necessary that the leader takes decisions himself. This style may also be desirable when the company endorses fear and punishment as accepted disciplinary techniques. When a leader prefers to be dominant in decision making and there is little room for error in final accomplishment, autocratic leadership may enhance morale and improve productivity. These days, autocratic style is becoming less desirable as employees are becoming more educated and well organized. Then coming to the second style of leadership, that is democratic or participative leadership. A consultative or a democratic leader takes decision in consultation and participation with the subordinates. He decentralizes his authority and allows the subordinate to share his power. The leader does what the group wants and follows the majority opinion. He keeps followers informed about matters affecting them. A democratic leader provides freedom of thinking and expression. He listens to the suggestions, grievances and opinions of the subordinates. The advantages of democratic leadership are: improves job satisfaction. Democratic leadership can improve the job satisfaction and morale of the subordinates. Then it cultivates the decision making ability of the subordinates in the organization. Then it improves the abilities of the leader. The leader multiplies his abilities through the contribution of his followers. Then improves the quality of the decision. In case of democratic decision, the decisions are taken in a group, so they can ensure the quality of the decisions. Then coming to the limitations of democratic leadership style, first one is delay in decision making. You know that in case of democratic leadership, every decisions are taken by consultation with the subordinates in the organization, so it will leads to a time consuming process. Then lack of support from subordinate. The success of democratic leadership style depends on the support from the subordinate. If the subordinates are not supporting the leaders in the organization, it will not be a successful leadership style. Then subordinates may consider it as a sign of incompetence of the leader. When the superior goes for consultation with the subordinate for every decision taken in the organization, the subordinate may consider it as a sign of incompetence of the leader. Then the last one, that is, leader may use this means of passing the buck to others. Consultative or democratic leadership is considered to be more effective than autocratic style, though there is no empirical proof for this. Consultative style is more compatible with the prevailing value system, which favors freedom of expression and independent thinking. The choice of leadership style depends upon the immediate goal and on the subordinates. If the immediate goal is increase in productivity or subordinates have low need for independence, autocratic style may be preferable. But when the goal is job satisfaction and employees have a high need for independence, consultative or democratic style may be more effective. Consultative style is also appropriate where subordinates have accepted the goal of the organization and the leader really wants to share decision making with the subordinate. Then coming to the third style of leadership, that is laissez-faire leadership or free rein approach to leadership. It involves a complete delegation of authority so that subordinates themselves take decisions. He serves only as a contact to bring information and resources needed by the subordinate. That means in this style of leadership, there will not be any type of supervision or guidance from the part of the superior. He will try to establish a boundary within which the followers needs to perform their duties. He will ensure the availability of information and resources as and when required. Then the advantages of free rein or laissez-faire leadership. Job satisfaction. You know that it will definitely improve the job satisfaction level of the subordinates or the followers of the organization. Then maximum scope for the subordinate. The subordinates can take their own decision. They can work according to their viewpoint, etc. So it will ensure a maximum scope for the subordinates in the organization. Then full utilization of potential of subordinates. They can utilize their potential to the maximum extent for the accomplishment of the objectives. Then the limitations of free rein approach to leadership. No guidance and support from the superiors. There will not be any kind of guidance or supervision from the part of the superiors in the organization. It ignores the contribution of leader. There will not be any kind of contribution from the part of the superiors or the leaders for the accomplishment of the objective. He will provide the information and suggest the boundary within which the followers needs to perform the duties. Then subordinates may move in different direction. That means this style of leadership may leads to conflicts between the subordinates or the followers in the organization, because each and every person have full authority to take decision according to his viewpoint. That may leads to conflicts. Free rein style may be appropriate when the subordinates are well trained, highly knowledgeable, self-motivated and ready to assume responsibility. Okay, these are the different styles of leadership. Okay, hereby I am completing the first lecture from the sixth module. From this lecture, you need to study about the meaning and the definition of leadership, different qualities of a leader, the importance of leadership in an organization, and different style of leaderships. You can include paternalistic leadership as another type of leadership style. I have already explained what is paternalistic style of leadership. That means it's a form of leadership style in which the superior or the leader shows a paternalistic or parental approach to the followers in the organization. He will guide and supervise the works of the subordinates in the organization in a way that is shown by a father or a mother to their children. Okay, thank you.